The Galactic Concord had ruled the stars for over 300 cycles. Its fleet stretched from the burning rim of the Helios expanse to the frozen voids beyond the Veil Nebula. Every species they encountered either joined willingly or was brought in quietly. Resistance was rare. Total defiance was unheard of. That was why High Consul Virek found the Sol system so puzzling. His flagship, the Eternal Accord, drifted just beyond the orbit of Neptune. Around him, a dozen warships hung in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant light of Sol. Sensors had picked up strange energy pulses from the third planet weeks ago, pulses that didn't match any known civilization profile. The Concord's archives listed Earth as Class 0, pre-warp, pre-unification, barely spacefaring. Yet the signals suggested something else, something hidden. Virek stood on the command deck, his long silver robes brushing against the polished floor. He was tall, with sharp features and eyes that had seen 100 worlds bend the knee. He expected Earth to be no different, a backward world of scattered nations, primitive weapons, and fractured loyalties. Easy to absorb, easy to guide. That was the Concord's way, order through unity. But then came the message. It crackled over every comm channel at once, clean and calm, spoken in standard galactic but with an accent Virek didn't recognize. Stay back from Earth, child, no threats. No demands. Just those 6 words repeated 3 times, then silence. Virek frowned. Child? He turned to his aide, Kyle. Who said that? Kale checked the source. Single vessel. Human designation Odyssey. It just appeared near Mars orbit. No warp trail, no energy buildup. It was simply there. That's impossible, Virek said. Unless they've mastered instantaneous translation. Kale replied, voice tight. Or they were hiding. Virek studied the small ship on the main display. It wasn't large, barely a frigate by Concord standards. Its hull was dark, almost matte, with no visible weapons ports or sensor arrays. It looked more like a cargo hauler than a warship. And yet it had spoken with authority. Open a channel, Virek ordered. The screen flickered. A man appeared. Mid-30s, short black hair, calm eyes. He wore a simple gray uniform with no rank insignia. Behind him, the bridge was quiet, lit by soft blue panels. No alarms, no tension. Just stillness. I am High Consul Virek of the Galactic Concord, the consul said, voice firm. You are in violation of Concord Protocol 7. Identify yourself and state your purpose. The man nodded once. Captain Daniel Ruiz, United Earth Defense Command. My purpose is to deliver a message. You already did, Virek said. Now explain it. Ruiz didn't blink. The message is the explanation. Earth is not open for contact, not yet. Please turn your fleet around. Virek almost laughed. You think a single ship can stop us? I'm not here to stop you, Ruiz said gently. I'm here to warn you. There was something in his tone. No fear, no arrogance, just quiet certainty. It unsettled Virek more than any show of force would have. Your world is under Concord observation, Virek said. We've detected energy anomalies. Unregistered technology. You will allow our science team to land on your moon for assessment. Ruiz shook his head. No. Virek's voice hardened. You refuse a lawful Concord inspection? Earth doesn't recognize Concord law, Ruiz replied. We've watched your empire expand for decades. We know what assessment means to you. It ends with your flag on our cities and your governors in our halls. That won't happen. Virek's jaw tightened. You are outmatched. Outgunned. 1 ship against 12 capital vessels. Do you truly believe you can stand against us? Ruiz looked away for a moment as if listening to something only he could hear. Then he met Virek's gaze again. We're not asking you to believe anything, Consul. Just to listen. Stay back from Earth, child. That's all. The transmission cut off. Silence filled the command deck. Officers exchanged glances. No one had ever ended a conversation with the High Consul so abruptly. Kale cleared his throat. Shall we disable the Odyssey, sir? Virek stared at the empty screen. Something about Ruiz's words echoed in his mind. Child, why that word? It wasn't an insult. It sounded protective, almost sad. No, Virek finally said. Not yet. Send the science team to Luna as planned, quietly, no weapons. Just sensors and recorders. Let's see what they're hiding. Kyle nodded and relayed the order. Within the hour, a small shuttle detached from the Eternal Accord and sped toward the moon. It carried 6 Concord scientists and a full suite of deep scan equipment. Their mission: map Earth's surface, analyze atmospheric composition, and locate the source of the energy pulses. Back on the Odyssey, Ruiz watched the shuttle's path on his display. He didn't move to intercept. He simply opened a secure channel to Earth. "Finch," he said. "Ruiz," came the reply, a woman's voice steady and sharp. "They sent the team." "Yeah," he said. "They didn't listen." "Protocol Alpha is active," she said. "The cradle is watching." Ruiz exhaled slowly. "Good." He turned off the comm and looked out the viewport at the blue-green dot hanging in the black. Earth looked peaceful, quiet, just a world of oceans, clouds, and green land. No sign of war, no sign of ancient secrets sleeping beneath its crust. But Ruiz knew better. Everyone on Earth knew, even if they didn't understand it. The planet wasn't just home. It was a vault, a promise, and humanity was its guardian. On the moon, the conquered shuttle landed smoothly in the Sea of Tranquility. The scientists stepped out in environmental suits, setting up their scanners. For 10 minutes, everything worked normally. Then the lead scientist frowned at his display. "The readings, they're shifting," he said. "Gravity's fluctuating, magnetic field spiking." Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath them shimmered, not like sand, but like liquid glass. The shuttle vanished first, swallowed without sound. Then the scientists. One moment they were there, the next, gone. No explosion, no debris, just empty lunar dust. Back on the Eternal Accord, alarms blared. The shuttle's signal had disappeared. Life signs gone. No distress call. No wreckage. Virek rushed to the sensor station. "What happened?" "We don't know, sir," the officer stammered. 1 second they were transmitting data, the next, nothing. It's like they were erased. Virek's hands clenched. He looked toward Earth, now glowing softly in the distance. Ruiz hadn't fired a shot, hadn't raised his voice, and yet 6 of his people were gone. He opened a new channel, this time broadcasting on all frequencies. "Captain Ruiz, return our team now." Static answered him. Then, after a long pause, Ruiz's voice returned, softer than before. "They're safe, but they can't come back, not yet. Not until you understand." "Understand what?" Virek demanded. "That Earth isn't yours to take." The line went dead again. Virek stood alone on the bridge, the weight of his pride pressing down on him. He had come to claim a world. Instead, he'd been given a riddle wrapped in silence. And for the first time in his long career, the High Consul of the Galactic Concord felt something he hadn't felt since he was a boy. Doubt. High Consul Virek paced the command deck of the Eternal Accord, his silver robes whispering against the floor. The silence from the moon still echoed in his mind. 6 scientists gone. No trace, no explanation. Only Ruiz's calm voice saying they were safe but unreachable. It made no sense, and that frightened him more than open war ever could. He refused to believe Earth held real power. Not against the conquered. Their empire had crushed warlords, dismantled rogue AIs, and tamed black hole cults. A single planet of humans, barely out of their own atmosphere, could not stand against them. It was impossible, and yet, something had happened on Luna. Something his sensors could not explain. Virek turned to Kael. "Send a drone. Low orbit. Passive scan only. No weapons. No landing." Kyle hesitated. "Sir, after what happened, do it," Virek cut in. "If they took our people without firing a shot, maybe they won't touch an unmanned probe." Kyle nodded and issued the order. Within minutes, a sleek reconnaissance drone launched from the hangar bay. It streaked toward Earth silent and fast, its hull coated in stealth polymers. Its mission was simple: skim the upper atmosphere, capture visual and spectral data, and return. On the Odyssey, Captain Daniel Ruiz watched the drone's approach on his main screen. He didn't move to stop it. He simply tapped his comm. "Finch, they're testing us again." Lieutenant Mara Finch sat in the orbital defense hub buried deep beneath the Pacific. Around her, soft lights pulsed on curved walls. She didn't look up from her console. "Let it come," she said. "The cradle decides." Ruiz nodded. Understood. The drone entered Earth's exosphere. Its cameras activated, sending back crystal-clear images of continents, oceans, and swirling cloud systems. Cities glittered at night. New York, Tokyo, Lagos, all alive with light and motion. No weapons platforms, no orbital cannons, just life. Ordinary, peaceful life. Then the drone dipped lower, crossing the invisible boundary at 100 kilometers. The Karman line. Where space ends and sky begins. That was when it vanished. One moment the feed showed blue sky and white clouds. The next, static. The drone signal cut off instantly. No explosion. No debris trail. Just gone, as if erased from existence. On the eternal accord, the sensor officer gasped. It's not there anymore. 1 second it was transmitting, the next nothing. Like it never existed. Viereck stared at the blank screen. His hands trembled slightly. Impossible. Even quantum disintegration leaves residue. Energy signatures, something. There's nothing, sir, the officer said, voice tight. It's like the planet swallowed it whole. Viereck turned away. His pride burned. He had tried patience. He had tried caution. And still Earth defied him without lifting a finger. Without even seeming to notice. Prepare the pacification fleet, he said, voice low but firm. All 12 capital ships. Full combat readiness. We're going in. Kale stepped forward. Consul, are you sure? We still don't understand what's happening. What if they're bluffing? Viereck interrupted. What if this is all theater? A trick to scare us off? I won't let a primitive world make fools of the conquered. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships form attack wedge. Target Earth's orbital perimeter. Disable any defense systems you detect. Do not fire on the surface. We want the planet intact. The conquered fleet shifted. Engines hummed to full power. Weapon arrays charged. Shields flared to life. They moved as one, a wall of steel and fire heading for the blue world. On Earth, people went about their lives. In Chicago, a boy named Leo Grant taught his students about ancient Rome. In Austin, engineer Nina Patel fixed a broken water pump in her neighborhood. In Oslo, an old woman fed pigeons in the square. None of them knew that a galactic armada was coming. None of them feared it because Earth was ready. Ruiz watched the fleet approach from the Odyssey. He didn't raise shields. He didn't power weapons. He just opened a final channel to Viereck. Last chance, Ruiz said. Turn back. Viereck's face appeared on screen, hard and cold. You played your games long enough, Captain. Stand down or be removed, Ruiz sighed. I tried. He closed the channel. Deep beneath the oceans, in vaults older than human cities, ancient machines stirred. In the asteroid belt, dormant platforms, shaped like rocks hidden for centuries, unfolded their limbs. Beneath the ice of Antarctica, crystalline cores pulsed with soft blue light, and in orbit, invisible to all but those who knew where to look, the cradle awakened. The conquered fleet crossed the outer defense line. Instantly, every ship lost power. Not from an explosion, not from a weapon strike. Their reactors simply stopped. Lights flickered out. Engines died. Life support switched to emergency reserves. Alarms blared across every bridge, but no one could respond. Controls were frozen. Comms were dead. Viereck stumbled as the artificial gravity failed. He grabbed a railing, heart pounding. What is this? He shouted. No one answered. The fleet hung in space, helpless, like toys with dead batteries. On the Odyssey, Ruiz stood calmly. They're not attacking, he said to Finch over the comm. Just holding them. Good, Finch replied. The cradle doesn't want to hurt them. Just teach them. Ruiz looked at Earth on his screen, so quiet, so still. Yet beneath its surface something vast and patient had spoken. Back on the Eternal Accord, Viereck managed to activate a backup comms unit. His voice was raw. Ruiz, what did you do? We didn't do anything, Ruiz said gently. Earth did. It's been waiting, watching. It knows when someone comes with greed in their heart. Viereck slumped into his chair. His fleet, 12 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, was now nothing more than drifting metal. And not a single human had fired a shot. Why? Viereck whispered. Why warn us like that? Why call me child? Because you are, Ruiz said. Not in age, in understanding. The galaxy is older than your empire, wiser than your laws. Earth isn't a prize to be taken. It's a lesson to be learned. Viereck had no reply. Below, in a small town in Oregon, a girl rode her bike down a quiet street. She laughed as her dog chased after her. The sun shone. Birds sang. The world turned, unaware of the silent war that had just ended above it. Ruiz closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened a new channel, not to Viereck but to Earth Command. Finch, he said. Keep watch. They might not understand yet, but they will. Yes, sir, she said. And high above the clouds, the cradle held the conquered fleet in its gentle grip, not as prisoners, but as students, waiting for the day they would finally listen. The Concorde fleet hung in silence above Earth, powerless and adrift. No explosions had rocked their hulls. No beams of energy had torn through their shields. They had simply stopped working, as if the universe itself had pressed a pause button. Inside the Eternal Accord, High Consul Virek sat alone in the dim emergency lighting, his pride shattered like glass on stone. He had come to claim a world. Instead, he had been gently, firmly put in his place. Captain Daniel Ruiz watched from the Odyssey, his expression calm but his mind racing. He knew this moment would come. Humanity had prepared for it for generations, not with armies or bombs, but with patience. Earth was not a fortress. It was a teacher. And sometimes lessons required stillness, not violence. After hours of silence, Ruiz opened a channel directly to Virek. The consul's face appeared on screen, tired and hollow. "What now?" he asked, voice rough. "Now," Ruiz said, "you listen." He didn't speak of weapons or war. He didn't boast or threaten. Instead, he told a story. Long ago, before humans built cities or sailed oceans, another race walked the stars. They were brilliant, powerful, and deeply flawed. They created wonders beyond imagining. Worlds spun from thought, machines that dreamed, songs that shaped reality. But they could not control their own hunger for more. They fought over ideas, over resources, over who deserved to lead. In their final days, they saw the truth. Intelligence without wisdom is a fire without a hearth. It burns everything, even itself, so they made a choice. They would not pass on their weapons or their ships. They would pass on their hope. Deep beneath Earth's crust, in places untouched by time, they buried knowledge, not as data, but as patterns in stone, water, and even human DNA. They shaped the planet into a sanctuary, a cradle for a new kind of intelligence, one that valued care over control, connection over conquest. Humans didn't know it at first. They grew slowly, stumbling through fire and ice, building and breaking, loving and losing, but something in them remembered. They learned to share, to heal, to look at the stars not with greed but with wonder. And over centuries, the cradle, the ancient system left behind, woke up in pieces, watching, waiting, testing. "It's not ours to give," Ruiz said. "It's ours to guard. Earth isn't just soil and sea. It's the last archive of a race that chose to end their story so another could begin." Virek stared at him. "You expect me to believe that? A fairy tale to explain your tricks? It's not a trick," Ruiz replied. "Look at your ships. Are they damaged?" "No," Virek admitted. "Just off, exactly. The cradle didn't hurt you. It stopped you. Like a parent stopping a child from touching a flame. That's why I called you child, not to insult you, to remind you that there are things older and wiser than empires." Virek looked away. He thought of his homeworld, its gleaming towers and endless expansion. He thought of the worlds the Concorde had unified, some grateful, many not. Had they ever truly listened, or had they only ever taken? Back on Earth, life continued. In Denver, a man named Leo Grant graded papers in a quiet classroom. He didn't know about the fleet above. He only knew his students needed kindness more than facts. In Miami, engineer Nina Patel fixed a broken solar grid for her neighbors, humming as she worked. She believed in small fixes, not grand wars. Their ordinary lives were the proof Ruiz spoke of. Humanity's strength wasn't in force, but in quiet care. On the Eternal Accord, Kyle entered the command chamber. "Sir," he said softly. "The science team, they're alive." Virek turned sharply. "What?" "We just received a faint signal. Encrypted, but it's them. They're on the moon. Safe, they say. They're being studied. Not harmed, just observed." Virek closed his eyes. "Studied for what?" "To see if we're ready," Kyle said, voice low. That's what the message said. Ruiz's voice came through again, gentle but firm. "The cradle tests intent. Your team came with scanners, not weapons. So it let them live. Your drone came to spy, but it was empty of malice, so it was only removed. Your fleet came to conquer, so it was stopped. Earth doesn't punish. It responds." Virek stood slowly. "Then what do we do now?" "Wait," Ruiz said. "Learn. Ask questions instead of giving orders. Maybe then, the cradle will let you speak to your people. Maybe then you'll understand why we warned you." He ended the call. For days, the Concorde fleet drifted. No one attacked. No one fled. Slowly, the crews began to talk. Not as soldiers, but as people. They shared stories of home, of fear, of doubt. Some looked down at Earth and felt something strange. Not desire to own it, but awe at its peace. Virek spent hours watching the planet turn. He saw storms calm, forests breathe, cities glow without war. He thought of his empire's endless hunger. Was it strength or fear dressed as power? Then on the 5th day, something changed. One by one, the conquered ships powered back on. Not all at once. Not with a surge. But gently, like a sleeper waking. Lights returned. Engines hummed softly. Life support stabilized. Virek checked his console. No damage. No sabotage, just release. A message appeared on his screen. Simple text, no voice, you may stay. But you may not take. Virek exhaled. He opened a channel to Ruiz. We hear you. Ruiz nodded on screen. Good, now watch. And learn. Below, a child in Kenya pointed at the sky, laughing as a bird flew past. On a beach in California, an old man walked with his granddaughter, telling her about the stars. In a village in Nepal, a woman sang while she cooked dinner for her family. The cradle watched too. And for the first time in centuries, it felt hope. The Concord had come as conquerors. Now they stayed as students. And Earth, patient and ancient, began its quiet lesson. Not with words, but with the simple truth of a world that chose to live, not to rule. High Consul Virek stood at the observation window of the Eternal Accord, watching Earth turn below. The blue swirls of clouds, the green of forests, the quiet glow of cities at night, it all looked so fragile. Yet it had held back his entire fleet without anger, without violence. He had expected a battle. Instead, he had been given a mirror. For weeks, the conquered ships remained in orbit, powered but still. No orders came from the Council back home. No demands. Just silence. And in that silence, something strange happened. The crews began to change. Officers who once spoke only of conquest now gathered to watch sunrises over the Pacific. Pilots who trained for dogfights found themselves sketching the curve of the Amazon from above. Even Kyle, Virek's loyal aide, spent hours reading old human poetry sent up by Ruiz. Simple words about rain, loss, and kindness. Virek himself had started asking questions. Not tactical ones. Not political. But human ones. Why did they build schools before weapons? Why did they plant trees they would never see grow? Ruiz answered each one patiently, never mocking, never boasting. He spoke of teachers like Leo Grant, who stayed late to help a struggling student. Of engineers like Nina Patel, who fixed water pumps for free because everyone deserves clean water. These were not heroes in armor. They were ordinary people choosing good day after day. One evening, Virek requested a data packet. Not about weapons or energy grids, about human history. Ruiz sent it without hesitation. Virek watched footage of humans at their worst. Wars, greed, cruelty. But he also saw them at their best. Strangers pulling each other from rubble after earthquakes. Scientists sharing cures for free. Artists painting hope on broken walls. What struck him most was how often they rose again after falling. Not because they were strong, but because they cared. They keep trying, Virek murmured to Kale. Yes, sir, Kale said. Even when it's hard. Back on Earth, no one knew they were being studied. Leo Grant taught his class about ancient myths, stories of gods who demanded worship and humans who chose mercy instead. Nina Patel helped a neighbor rebuild a fence after a storm, refusing payment. In a small town in Maine, a boy named Eli shared his lunch with a new student who had no food. These acts meant nothing to galactic politics. But to the cradle, they meant everything. The cradle was not a machine. Not really. It was a network of ancient systems. Some buried in rock, some woven into the magnetic field, some sleeping in the deep ocean. Designed to read intent, not force. It measured not how loud a species shouted, but how softly it listened. And humanity, for all its flaws, had learned to listen. To each other, to the planet, to the quiet voice inside that said, "This is wrong," or "This is kind." Ruiz knew the truth. Earth's real power wasn't in hidden weapons or alien tech. It was in its people's stubborn belief that tomorrow could be better than today. That belief had kept them alive through ice ages, plagues, and their own mistakes. And now it was teaching the Concord something new, that strength could be gentle. Virek finally understood why Ruiz had called him child. It wasn't about age. It was about wisdom. The conquered had grown tall but not deep. They ruled stars but forgot how to hold a hand. They built empires but lost the art of sitting quietly with a friend. One morning, Virek made a decision. He opened a secure channel to the Concord Council. His message was short. We were wrong. Earth is not a world to be claimed. It is a teacher. I ask permission to stay, not as envoys, but as students. The council did not reply for days. When they did, their tone was cold. You have failed your mission. Return at once. The fleet will be replaced. Virek read the message and felt no fear, only sadness. He turned to Kale. They still don't see. No, Kale said. But maybe we can help them. Virek nodded. He sent a new message, not to the council, but to every ship in the fleet. You've seen Earth, you've felt its peace. Do you truly wish to leave it to those who only want to own it? Silence followed. Then one by one, captains replied. Not with words. With actions. They powered down their weapons. They opened their logs to Ruiz. They asked for more stories, more data, more time. The conquered council declared them traitors. But Virek didn't care. He had found something more valuable than loyalty to an empire. Loyalty to truth. On Earth, Ruiz received the fleet's shared logs. He read them quietly, then passed them to Finch in the defense hub. They're ready, he said. For what? She asked. To hear the rest of the story. That night, a new signal pulsed from Earth. Not a warning, but an invitation. A single data stream filled with images, sounds, and memories from the precursor race. Not their weapons. Their songs. Their lullabies. Their last words, grow kindly. Virek received it in his quarters. He played it once, then again. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time he understood. The galaxy wasn't a prize. It was a garden, and Earth was its keeper. Below, in a quiet park in Seattle, an old woman fed bread to ducks. She didn't know about the signal, the fleet, or the ancient cradle. She only knew the ducks were hungry and she had bread. That was enough. And high above, the Concord fleet, once an armada of conquest, now floated like students at the edge of a classroom, waiting to learn how to be human. The Concord Council called it betrayal. The galaxy called it a miracle, but on Earth no one called it anything at all. Life went on as it always had. Quiet, steady, unaware that history had turned on a single choice made in orbit. High Consul Virek stood before the view screen in the Eternal Accord, his face calm, but his heart heavy. The Council had declared him and his fleet outlaws. Reinforcements were coming, hardliners who believed Earth must be taken by force if words failed. Virek knew what that meant. War, not just against humans, but against the cradle itself. And that, he now understood, was a war no one could win. He turned to Kale. Send the message. To every system, every ship, every world under the conquered flag. Kale nodded and typed quickly. Within minutes, Virek's voice echoed across thousands of channels. He spoke not as a consul, but as a man who had finally seen the light. He told them what Earth truly was, not a prize but a promise. He shared the precursor songs, the human stories, the quiet courage of ordinary people who chose kindness over control. He didn't ask for rebellion. He asked for reflection. Ask yourself, he said. Do we rule because we are wise or because we are afraid? Across the empire, people listened. Some scoffed. Others wept. On factory worlds, workers paused their machines. In academy halls, students questioned their teachers. In council chambers, old leaders felt the ground shift beneath their feet. The message spread like wind through dry grass, soft but unstoppable. On Earth, Captain Daniel Ruiz watched the data streams. He saw the ripples Virek had made. He also saw the incoming war fleet. 12 new dreadnoughts, armed and angry, led by Commander Joran, a veteran who believed mercy was weakness. Ruiz didn't panic. He simply opened a channel to Lieutenant Mara Finch. They're coming. I know, she said. The cradle is ready. Good, Ruiz said. But this time let them see, not just feel. Finch understood. She entered a command sequence deep in the Pacific hub. Not to activate weapons, to open eyes. As the new Concord fleet crossed the orbit of Mars, something changed. Their sensors didn't fail. Their ships didn't shut down. Instead, every screen on every bridge lit up with images, not of war, but of life. A child laughing in Nairobi, an old man planting seeds in Peru, a nurse holding a newborn in Jakarta, a fisherman singing at dawn in Vietnam. Scene after scene of humans living, loving, healing, and hoping. Commander Joran stared at the feed, confused. What is this trick? It's not a trick, came Ruiz's voice over open channel. It's a mirror. Look closely. Do you see enemies? Or people just like you? Joran wanted to order fire, but his hand froze. He saw his own daughter's face in the laughing child. He saw his father's hands in the old farmer's. For the first time, Earth wasn't a dot on a map. It was a home. The fleet slowed, then stopped. Back on the Eternal Accord, Virek watched it happen. He sent a private message to Joran. I was wrong once too. It's not too late to be right. Hours passed. Then Joran made his choice. He powered down his main guns. He opened a channel to Ruiz. We will not attack, Ruiz nodded. Then you are welcome to learn. Word reached the Concord Council. Their last hope for force had turned to peace. Faced with a silent rebellion across their empire and the undeniable truth from Earth, they had no choice. They agreed to talk. Negotiations began not in war rooms but in orbit. Virek, now no longer consul but simply Virek, met with Ruiz aboard a neutral station. They spoke for days, not about treaties or borders but about values, about what it meant to lead, about how to grow without crushing others. In the end, an agreement was reached. The Concord would withdraw all claims on Earth. They would dismantle their forced assimilation policies. And in return, Earth would share fragments of the precursor archive, but only with worlds that proved they valued life over power. The galaxy held its breath. On Earth, no parades were held. No speeches were made. Leo Grant taught his class about responsibility. Nina Patel fixed another pump. A boy in Oslo fed pigeons. They didn't know they had changed the stars. They only knew to do what was right. Months later, a young Concord cadet named Eli stood on the observation deck of a newly renamed ship. The first lesson. He looked at Earth, small and blue in the distance. He remembered the warning that had echoed across space. Stay back from Earth, child. Now he understood. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. An invitation to grow up, to learn, to become more than conquerors. He whispered the words back, not with fear, but with hope. Stay back from Earth, child, until you're ready. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was ready to listen. Far below, in a quiet field in Kansas, a girl lay on her back, watching clouds drift across the sky. She didn't know about empires or ancient cradles. She only knew the sun was warm, the grass was soft, and tomorrow would come. That was enough, and high above, the stars watched over Earth, not as owners, but as students. Learning at last how to be kind,